Hey guys, welcome back to Insomniac Stream. Today's video is going to be for Mortal Kombat 11's Joker design. It's clearly quite classic to Joker's design. It kind of has a feel of a little bit of like the Arkham City Joker and a little bit of like Heath Ledger's Joker. I think it's kind of a fun mix, so I really wanted to do it the second I saw it. I'm gonna pre-warn you guys just a little bit. The footage for this isn't the best, and I am really sorry for that. Probably for a lot of reasons, but one definitely being that when I did this stream, I was in like one of my lowest points that I've experienced in a very long time. I still remember being shocked that I was doing the stream, but it was because I'd actually reached such like a bad state that I figured it would be nicer to interact with other people and hear about their lives and live a little vicariously through them for a little while instead of being in my head with my own awful thoughts. And it actually worked really well. A really amazing memory, one I will never forget, which is why I really want to still share this tutorial with you, even if it's not my best footage. Hopefully I can talk it through on the tutorial side and the voiceover, and it will still come to life and make sense as a tutorial. Weird over explanation intro aside, this is going to be a Joker tutorial. I will show you how I brought it to life. All of the information for everything I use will be in the description down below. So yeah, let's just jump right in. First thing I'd do is get a white base down, and for this I was just using a cream white paint. It's usually my go-to when I have to do a nice even white base for things, and then I just set it with some powder to make sure it doesn't move and stays in place. Also, please excuse the big fluffy sweater. It was very cold this day and I wanted to be as warm as possible for as long as possible, so I sweatered up for a bit of this tutorial. To get a really nice deep black for the eyes, I first laid down a black gel liner all over my lids and then blended it out, and then I go over that and set it with a matte black eyeshadow. This is kind of the best way to make sure it gets a really deep opaque black, as well as pulled this out along kind of my crow's feet and started building the lines to make it a little bit more expressive and a little bit more true to Joker's facial features. Then to help pull the details out more, I did take a fine liner brush and a gray shadow, so something to just kind of start a little bit softer before going in fully with black. And again, just following areas like my crow's feet. You can see I keep pulling faces because it's kind of easier to find where your face would naturally scrunch up and wrinkle, and then you can kind of fill in those areas to give them better definition and help building that harsh expression on the face. And short of using a prosthetic, I can't quite get the truly pointed nose that Joker tends to have, so I did just use a little bit of shading to try and hint and kind of cheat that to make it look a little bit more angular and severe. And then of course you can follow any other areas like the smile lines, as well as kind of do a bit of contouring around the face and jawline. And then for the cheeks, you can always make a little bit more of a masculine face shape and kind of push out the cheekbones by doing almost an L contour and aiming down. It just kind of gives a more hollow area. This Joker's mouth shape is quite severe. It goes really high up on the cheekbones and it's a little bit more compressed into the face. And what I mean by that is that it doesn't actually extend all the way to like your temples or your ears. It actually just kind of goes up to the sides of where your eyes are. So to do this, I'm just using a red body paint and kind of pulling it up to those areas and then filling in with just jagged marks to kind of give this idea of a really messily applied lipstick or scarred area. And then when I do looks like this, I always do throw an actual lipstick on top of the lips themselves, mainly because body paint kind of gets drying, and also you kind of want something that is formulated for that if you happen to ingest it, should be a little bit safer. So that's usually a good go-to. And then, of course, I just kind of followed over everything that I had built up with black, not applying it to everywhere I had the gray, but just enough that it helps emphasize the areas I want it to. Finally, moving on to the suit paint, I did sketch out everything with a little bit of a black body paint. This just kind of helps me place where everything's going to go and make sure I'm kind of on track for where I think things should be. I'm still feeling kind of new to clothing paint, so I'm constantly working at it, but giving yourself a little bit of a guide does help quite a bit. And from here, I just blocked out everything. So the suit gets all of the purple blocking, the center part gets the green, and I always kind of try to leave hints of where I made my sketch lines. You can kind of tell I leave almost little gaps, mainly because I know I'm going to shade there anyways. You can always fill it in, but this at least helps you be aware of where the lines are if you've laid them out for yourself. I just find it easier, but of course you can do whatever is most comfortable for you. The rose on the lapel was admittedly a little bit trial and error, so the best way I can kind of describe to do this is you want to start in the center where there'd almost be the swirl where they get incredibly tight, and then you want to build outwards, making the petals bigger and bigger and overlapping. And then going in with shading is how you're going to make it look like some of the petals are actually over top of each other, casting shadows. I promise you roses are way more forgiving than they look, so just looking at a picture, taking your time, and kind of just building up from there, you honestly should end up with a pretty good result for something to sit on your lapel. For the pattern on the center green shirt, I did just go in with a liner brush and a lighter green. Admittedly, it can be a little bit tedious and tricky to do a very repeating pattern, but again, it's one where don't stress too hard about it being perfect. Just getting the right forms and shapes, you can easily cheat the eye into thinking that it's a decently believable pattern on the undershirt. For shading the rest of the purple in the suit, I did just go in with a darker purple body paint. I'm trying to get better at blending body paints instead of just shadows, so I kind of want to try a mix here. So I went ahead with the dark purple and kind of softened it out just through copious amounts of blending. And then I went back in with a black shadow and started adding all of the folds and soft shading. I will admit, for actual folds in clothing, I still really like using a shadow because it's really soft and you get these really diffused blends on it. But again, do whatever you're most comfortable with and kind of just keep playing and learning, because that's honestly what I felt like I was doing in this paint. I also added a little bit of a cast shadow to the rose just to make it look a little bit more three-dimensional and pushed forward. And then for the buttons on the shirt, I first applied a bit of black shadow where I would want them to sit, and then went over with a white paint. The black will just help create more of a natural shadow for the buttons to help them, again, look a little bit more three-dimensional and better defined. But first, a very needed visit from my kitty Alice. Final details for me was all of the highlighting. This will give it a little bit more of a comic feel, so you might want to do some softer highlighting if you want something more realistic, but I like the feel of it being a little bit harsher. So I just went in with a white and a detail brush and kind of added these jagged, brushed out lines for all the areas that I wanted to highlight and make pop a little bit more. And then final touches was, because I did not own a wig that would suit this at all, I decided to just paint my own hair with a little bit of body paint. Came out super easy, just washed out in the shower. But this is a nice easy way to kind of make up for a lack of wig or costume accessory. And that is it for my Mortal Kombat 11's design for the Joker. Really hope you guys enjoyed this one. I know I've done a few Jokers now, but I don't think I'm ever going to fully tire of them because his designs are always just so filled with expression and animation that I can't help it. But please let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask them. Everything I used will be listed in the description. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. I, of course, will see you next video. So until then, bye guys!